WUJM, St. Petersburg.
Good evening. Welcome to the Doctors in the House, your health show. I'm Dr. Morency, your host. Today, unfortunately, I will not be talking about any health matters. Instead, this is going to be a special show dedicated to the recent tragic event that befell Haiti on Wednesday, July 7, 2021. The gruesome assassination of the current president of Haiti, Mr. Jovenel Moise, at his own residence in the middle of the night, once again has focused the attention of the world on Haiti. Haiti has had its share of political turmoil and has been a thorn in the side of the U.S. and the Western power since Haiti took its independence 217 years ago. And what's troubling for the West and the colonial power is the fact it's Haiti histories, actually. So briefly, Haiti is the first country that has had a successful slave revolution in the world, in the history of the world. On January 1st, 1804, after defeating the mighty army of Napoleon Bonaparte of France, Haiti proclaimed its independence, thus becoming the first modern state to truly abolish slavery. Not only that, Haiti has helped spread freedom. In 1816, Haiti helped South American General Simon Bolivar with financial and military support to help him liberate a lot of countries in South America, including Venezuela, Peru, Colombia, Costa Rica, Panama, just to mention a few. So these daring actions by a brand new black country have not been acceptable by the white colonialist and made Haiti a pariah in the eye of the international community. So the United States, as well as its ally, France, Canada, and others, have made sure that Haiti, after its successful takeoff, would never again land anywhere. So Haiti's at it again. And on this sad occasion, on behalf of the community, this community here, we offer our sympathy to the president family and the grieving people of Haiti. Yes, Haiti's has a new crisis. So we're going to take this time that I have with this show to put this crisis in context. And to help me do that, I have here in the studio Marlene Berthelot. And on the phone, Andy Numa, both successful Haitian American business folks living in the Tampa Bay area. Hey Marlene, how are you?
I'm great.
Good. Andy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, good.
Thank you for having me.
Man, you're welcome. Thank you both very much for taking the time away from your schedules to come and share your thought with us. So, my good friends, Marlene and Andy, I'm going to let you just briefly introduce yourself. Just say who you are, and I'll let you do that. And Marlene, why don't you go first?
Well, my name is Marlene Berthelot, and I was brought from Haiti by my family as a teenager, and I had the good fortune to have a good life and successful. Went to school, did everything I was supposed to do, and so in 2008, I chose to return to Haiti to give back, pay it forward. And at which time I had we opened up a school. We also had 25 children that we helping, and but the situation in Haiti is it's very difficult to really realize your full potential, your dream of what you want.
All right, Andy, why don't you just say a little bit of something?
Sure. So again, like to say good evening to everyone. So my name is Andy Numa, and I was born in Haiti, born and raised in Haiti. Although I had been coming to the United States, since my early teens, because my extended family emigrated to this country very early back in the 60s. I actually left Haiti in 1987 permanently, right after the fall of the dictatorship. And I came to the United States and went to college here. And afterwards, I took a job on with a big IT firm. And after about 10, 15 years, decided to jump ship and create my own business, which I currently own and direct with my wife and my brother-in-law, and we've been in business for the past 20 years. And we go back to Haiti from time to time, and I have family there.
Yeah.
So everything that's happening is, of course, very concerning to us all.
I know you guys have a very close tie with Haiti. Marlene with the business, the Orphelina, where she spent a lot of time and energy and money to make things happen in a country like Haiti. And I know you guys, you Andy, you go back and forth. I mean, you visit Haiti as quite frequently. Like you, I left Haiti early 70s and came in directly, went to school, went to college and medical school, and here I am. So it is a very sad and very painful situation whenever you hear those things happen. So I'm going to ask you guys your opinion. So you've been watching, or whether watching or reading some of the news about the shocking assassination of the sitting president, and the serious gunshot injury to the wife. And you've been watching the basically this investigation play out live in the media. An investigation that already less than 24 hours after the crime happened helped capture 15 out of 28 mercenaries, and of which 13 of the 15 are Colombian, and there were 2 Haitian American. I don't want to actually lead your opinion, but give me your take, guys, about what's happened, his impact on Haiti, and how this is unfolding for you. Marlene, you can go.
Oh. Well, it's very, there's just no word to describe it. How they not only killed him, but really mutilated his body. I mean, but the reality in Haiti is the death of the president is one issue, it's one problem. But Haiti is really taking it's taking a plunge. I mean,
yeah.
Because
that's what you call the abscisse au clou. The Haiti's been in trouble.
Yes. So now that the president is dead, and so what's next? And as you can see, the people, they were, prior to his death, they wanted him to leave, and they didn't want him, but then nobody really knew why they didn't want him. So now it took him dead for them to start to realize, wait a minute, maybe he did have our interests at heart. Because what does he want? He wants a better life. He wants education. He was, I understand, was doing great job with the road and electricity.
I think one of his goals was to really provide a lot of electricity,
Electricity.
24/7 for the people. That was one of his dreams.
And you can't have development without electricity is primo.
Yeah.
So without, because you take in Haiti, the average person spends so much money to have electricity.
Yeah.
And so, how can you advance? You just can't.
Difficult. So what are you thinking, Andy? What's your thought on this situation?
Well, like everybody else, I mean, it's stunning. We're stunned. We're shocked. But in the same sense, there's this kind of numbness to what's happened. It's this is not to go into a history lesson, but where Haiti is right now is the culmination of a long string of bad government, decades of bad management leadership, wrong decisions made at key points, both internally and externally. I mean, we could go at length about this, but obviously there's not enough time for that.
Sure.
What we can say is that, this, for whatever reason, because, I hesitate to, to ponder, what exactly, the motives behind this, whether, because Jovenel has had a controversial history, since he took power. Even, the date his mandate begun was, in contention.
Mm-hmm.
So, but looking at it from here where we are, kind of a little removed from this, is that, this creates more fear, more uncertainty, and more doubt. We have a country that was already, going down into anarchy. I mean, the gangs, were basically surrounding the capital.
Yeah.
So, this is a ship without a captain right now, and a storm.
Yeah, and this is the sad part about this. Okay, I remember when he took over the power, and he had a big goal, and he had interest based on his speech that I've listened to, that he wanted to do something for the country. Okay, but over time, and it didn't take time to really get opposition from the beginning, because those are a huge deal that he wanted to do. And those are the thing a lot of Haitian president have always wanted to do, but nobody ever been able to actually accomplish this.
Right.
And he also so he tried to put up a fight. And he met resistance at all over. So that was the first 2 years. Now, and then so many scandals happened. The Petro-Caribbean happened, and the public start protesting. And who fueled those protests? No one knows, because this is the question we all asking ourselves. In the manner in which he was assassinated, my God, who would do this?
Who?
And so that's a question everybody's asking. And for me, watching the news unfold live, and you see the display of all those people, the capture immediately, it just gives you a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe it was staged.
Right.
Who knows?
Who done it?
Who done it? Yeah. But
the thing
go ahead,
that I wanted to say is that, again, if we go about, who, I think what I would like to point our attention to is what are the fundamentals here.
Correct.
For example, you said when he took power, he wanted to do something, and I think that several of those leaders, I mean, also always want to come in, and they come with big plans and they want to do things. But in order to do those things, those great projects, you need human capital. And what people need to understand is that Haiti has had a brain drain that's been going on since before the 1970s. I mean, look at all the three of us talking here, educated. You went to medical school. I went to engineering school. And many, a lot of my friends that went to some of the best schools, in this country, left, to go to Canada, the United States, or France.
Yeah.
So when a president comes in and says, I want to do this, I want to implement this program, we have to understand that the best minds of that country that were being trained to do this, that should have been taking, the leadership of the country, are no longer there.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
It's always a long shot at best.
Yeah.
And this is where you end up. I think that is a key factor that people need to realize, is that the conditions are not there. And a lot of times those governments, they make big progress, but big promises, but they cannot deliver.
Yeah.
And Jovenel did try. We saw a lot of the roads being built and everything, but underneath all that, there's a lot of friction, and a lot of pushback, from different, vested powers, and here we are.
Yeah, but Andy, see, this is the situation in Haiti. You have to educate the public. You got to really, they got to know what your goals are and how you want to go about it, and you really have to enlist them in to achieve what you want to do. But what happened in Haiti, oftentimes, people see things happening or not happening, but nobody really know. There's no explanation.
Well, yeah, that's been the problem of Haiti. Talking about this brain drain, I remember I grew up under the Duvalier regime, and there were massive exodus of all those professors and teachers that went to Africa, Congo,
Yep.
to teach. And then in the 70s, people left Haiti, like mad, to come to get education, to go to U.S. and Canada, Europe. So you're right. There's basically very little left in terms of really people who have proper training and qualification to do a lot of things. And the other thing was the economy has been terrible. And then we came up from this massive earthquake in 2010, never really recovered for that. And this guy come in and he had great attention, but there's no money. There is no money, and he pointed that out too. And now let me say it: there's a lot of corruption, and all those things are handicapped for anybody to do anything.
But you see, in the real problem too in Haiti, you have two Haitians. You have the one that had left and have done great things for themselves and their family, and in essence helping Haiti to survive by sending lots of money that goes. But at the same time, you have the other set of Haiti that is in Haiti, but really it's like on a holding zone. Their ultimate goal is to leave. So if you have the one that are already out, they don't want to go back, and the one that are there, they don't want to stay. So how do you?
Well, come on. We all know there's a power behind all this stuff. Okay, there's a minority. The people who make money in Haiti. Okay, the so-called the business folks who actually are able to live a great life and travel all over the place, who are able to, when they get sick, just order a flight to take them to Miami instead of building a hospital there. The people who have money, they're there. And what role have they been playing? And that's the crucial thing, because from what I understand from good sources, Mr. Moise campaign was financed by some of the rich people. Okay, and and they don't play a game. They want their money back. They want to make money. So these situations, and this is something that has been, pervasive in the history of Haiti.
And well, see, the reality is he really hit them in the pocket, or at least they think. he would, because when you're talking wood, you talk better wood, so you're talking that people are not buying tires every 6 months, and this is their line of business.
Yeah.
When you're talking electricity, so now people will not be buying generators, and which is really so stupid, because how do you advance if the country has all this infrastructure? Then there'll be advancement, and there are ways you could still make more money.
Yeah.
But that same idea of selfishness and narrow-minded, and so that in reality, in my opinion, may have caused his life.
Well, there's been, for me, the difference when I grew up under the dictatorship of Papa Doc. Well, there was a dictatorship, right? But everything functioned. There was a society, and there were a functioning government, right? People were able to go to school, get some basic education. I mean, I had a basic education before I came in. I came in straight to.
And there was certainly law and order.
Well, that's true too.
And respect.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea, one of the things that happened. I mean, this is my reflection on this, because how profound the situation is in Haiti. So in addition to have political corruptions and economic stuff like that, you have a system where it's free for everybody to democracy, to do whatever they want without education, without knowing what it means to have this power in your hands. Everybody can talk to anybody they want, and they do whatever they want. But in the meantime, people are not working. You have all those young kids to stay in Haiti. What do you want them to do? Essentially. So, go ahead, Andy.
I was going to say, you guys really hit on two very important points here that I wanted to stay on a little bit. Now, let's talk about the dictatorship. And we all grew under it. And remember, again, the country was very stable, undersurface. And, people just, you could just do your business so long as you didn't, get into politics, or you didn't, there was no voting. But I like to tell people, when you're a doctor, you can appreciate that, being, when a country is under a dictatorship, it's kind of like a patient being in chemotherapy.
Okay.
So everything is fine. The patient is getting radiated. It's killing all the cells, the good ones and the bad ones. Bad ones maybe being the opposition. And what happens is, the dictatorship, just collapses, and you have the president at the time, Jean-Claude Baby Doc Duvalier, being put on the plane and sent to France. It's really, you took that patient out of chemo, and then you just put him out on the street now to be exposed to anything. And you have a vacuum of power, and of course, in that vacuum of power, the people who step in are not the best, because there was no transition. So this is what happened. This is where it all began. With the dictatorship. I remember I had a teacher of mine that, when everybody was rejoicing that, hey, we're gonna have change and things want to get better, and he was shaking his head and saying, be careful what you wish for. And the other thing is the economy. If you look at the economic factor of why things aren't happening in Haiti, you have to understand that the Haitian economy is basically a rental economy, or hostage economy, in the sense that Haiti's biggest income right now is from money transferred from the diaspora. That's been estimated to in the billions of dollars. We're talking about, I think, I don't have the figures in front of me, but I like to tell people that it's like Haiti has no geopolitical significance right now. The natural resources that Haiti has, I mean, there's no, resources in terms of, deposit of gold or oil. There is really, nothing that can really be exploited for profit. So there is really nothing. So what happens now is that our biggest export, unfortunately, sad to say, is in a sense the taking care of the people that are there.
Yeah.
So what happens is that when you have this upheaval, what happens is that you get more money being sent to the country because everybody wants to send money for their. I know people that work two jobs, just to be able to send money back home to their families. So
Yeah,
that
but
is
then,
where.
but then, in actuality, this is what I call money that is not well spent, because
Correct.
what do you get in return for that?
Yeah, and over time
Exactly.
you create.
You
with-
create a state of welfare.
Correct. Without any.
That's exactly what we have.
Yeah. Without jobs,
So,
without
so the
schooling.
reality is, which I have been observing for a long time, that's another issue that Haiti may have, is the diaspora, because all we do is put a band-aid. We feel bad. I can tell you, since Jovenel died, I had to rush and send more money because people are calling, and
Well, because the dependency has been created.
exactly. So I believe us, the diaspora, should really rethink.
Yeah, hold your thought, because the next question we're going to address at some point before we're done is, what do we wish to happen now to Haiti? I mean, how is this the opportunity for renewal, or is it continuation of the same? So we hold your thoughts a little bit. How are we doing in time? So what we're going to do, it's closer to the half hour here. We're going to take a commercial break. And then with the next program is supposed to be Sounds of Haiti. So I have one song that I need to play for the people of Haiti, just to give them hope and courage. And then we'll resume with those questions. Where do we go from here? And what in our vision, because it's going to be total chaos at this particular point. The multiple gang having control of segment of the country. A lot of people displaced from their home. They have no food, no health care, nothing. And what the game you see happen now is the different factions just preparing themselves to take over. And you have the United States asking for election of whom? What's going to be? Who's going to be prepared to really run this stuff? So we'll be right back. And you're listening to WGGM, and this is supposed to be the doctor's house, but this is a special show tonight about Haiti. Hello, everybody. You're listening to 99.1 FM, WGM. I don't know if you missed it at the beginning. This is in lieu of the Doctors in the House, our usual health show. This is a special show to discuss the recent event that happened in Haiti that culminated in the assassination of the sitting president at his house. We have here with me Marlene Berthelot, a successful businesswoman who's sharing her idea with it. And on the line we have Andy Numa. So what I'm going to do, because the second half of my show is supposed to be about the sounds of Haiti, so we're not going to go through the full sound of Haiti, but I need to play one song for the people, dedicated to the people of Haiti. It's called Rassemble. And we're going to go ahead and do that music right now, and then be right back with our discussion.
So potada, so potada, elles font rassemblement Nan mache lan nuit sa la m'reve yo. Nan mache lan nuit sa la mwen we yo. Nan mache lan nuit sa la vyenek ma ou rele byo ti mwen. Nan mache lan nuit sa la mwen we yo. Pa kriye ti maman, pa kriye. Sonje te d'Haïti saldeye. Se maman liberté, s'il tombe la leve. Pa kriye ti maman, pa kriye. Sonje te d'Haïti saldeye. Se maman liberté, s'il tombe la leve. Mais nous rentrer, on nous la coua. N'a demandé si pas qu'il grand boulot dans la coussa. On nous rassemble, oui. Hey, ouais. On nous rassemble, rester ensemble, dans unité. Toujours n'a délivré, oui. On nous rassemble, rester ensemble, dans unité. Toujours n'a délivré, oui. Rassemble, oui. Tout le monde hey.
Hey, you listen to 99.1 FM WGM The Berg, and I'm Dr. Morency, your host, and we have in the studio with us Marlene Berthelot, and on the phone is Andy Numa. Are you there, Andy?
Yes, I am.
Very good, very good. So essentially, we're discussing the situation in Haiti, the tragic assassination of the president that happened last Wednesday, and its impact. And the big question we addressed is before the break is what next? Obviously, I certainly hope that they give a proper burial to the president and his family. And since there's an investigation, so I certainly hope that the investigation lead to the culprit, and that person, whoever, is brought to justice. That's one of my hope.
Person or people.
Well, there's quite a list of suspect of possibility, but in the meantime, you've already had chaos before this happened. Okay, people in the street, epidemic of kidnapping, gang shooting for people. There's very little work. People displaced from their house, no food.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But in this moment, there is one observation that I've made. The people have been very reserved.
Okay.
Very controlled.
So what does that mean?
Well, it may not mean that it's going to continue, but it means that they want to see which direction that the investigation and which direction that Haiti is going.
Yeah.
So right now you have the people pretty much where you can begin to reach them.
Yeah.
Which is not what. Sometimes when I'm in Haiti, I look at the people and I said, my gosh, these people are just left like on savannah to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
There's no one really, I mean, is responsible for them. Is guiding them.
Well, now it's kind of worse.
It's worse, exactly.
Because the president in the past, especially in the past year or so, there's no really functioning institution.
Oh.
Okay, the current prime minister was, I'm forgetting his name, Claude Joseph.
Claude Joseph.
Claude Joseph was an interim prime minister. It was hired April 14, and his term expired, and he actually had resigned until the day of the assassination. So and Jovenel had appointed a new prime minister who's sitting standby and disputing why he's not the one leading the fight. Okay.
Well, see now. The problem with Haiti, when you look at it, is not just government, but the family structure has been broken for years.
Well, yeah, that's fundamental. Yeah, that's fundamental. That's why we want to stay focused on this current situation to see how we're going to really begin to get out of it, or suggest how we get out of it. And the other thing is there is no functioning legislature. The president of the Senate now has been advised or pushed to really try to take the lead, but the Senate only had 10 senators present. There was no quorum to do this. So now the United States has supported Mr. Claude Joseph, the current prime minister, the acting prime minister now. But there's question whether or not, in the eyes of the populations, that he has any legitimacy. But I understand now at this point, everybody's, like you're saying, sitting back and waiting to see what happened. So it's a little bit of, and people have mentioned that, everybody's on a wait and see attitude, because you have also on the other side you have the gang who made their declarations. So if nothing really concrete happened or something, they're gonna be protests and stuff.
It would be live free or die.
So Andy, how would you get out of this? How does Haiti get out of this? No, you explain. Yeah, listen. I know that you don't have the answer, but you have logic, and you are in my experience, very organized and principled guy. So I want to hear your thoughts.
You do me too much credit, Doc.
That's okay. Take it, my friend. I've known you
But
for a while.
I will just can't give you the answer to that, but I'll make some observation. First of all, Jovenel, President Moise was a big focus on the negativity, everything that was going wrong with the country, and that's what happens with a lot of leaders when they get elected. It's kind of like if it happens on your watch, then it's your baby, and even before your watch. So what happened is Jovenel, toward the end, he had lost almost everything, and that's really why he was so easily taken down. I mean, pretty much from all observation, betrayed by his own, security detail. I mean, not one shot fired, nobody but him. He was the sole casualty of that operation.
Yeah.
And that's really where you see that this is a guy that really had lost his power base. I mean, the people, whichever interest, was no longer there. Now that he's no longer there, okay, we've taken the king down. So what next?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the question. But now let's take a look at who are the major players and what they have to gain or lose.
Absolutely. This is a great question, and everybody's watching that. So
exactly.
But now, Andy, here's the other issue. We need to identify why was he not accepted and why did he get killed. So my question is, any person that truly means well and wants to at least continue his legacy, how are you going to do that?
Well, in politics, you have to have leverage, or in anything in life. If you don't
because the idea is, if anybody comes in and want to make changes, radical changes, improving people's life, I don't know how you're going to
Well, except
protect yourself.
your point
and
is
not
well.
be killed.
Your point is well taken, Marlene. But if you look at how this Jovenel Moise, he had no mandate. I mean, he wasn't unknown as far as politics is concerned. He may have known the previous president and be in the circle, but even the people after the result of the election were skeptical. Where is this guy's come from? Okay, so he came in and addressed some issue, addressed the question of the corruption and stuff like that. But how did he deal with the players? How did he deal with all those people who've been there for a long time controlling the structure of Haiti? So, and to me, what's more important is the fact that there's still a question remaining about whether or not he should have resigned, finished his term last February when he was supposed to live, and then go, and then and have people prepare for the next election. Didn't do that. He wanted to go ahead and change the constitution by having some kind of referendum giving him more power. That's basically all documented, okay? And
Right.
nobody was buying that. And the people were not, because the people have nothing. They're really suffering. They are abandoned. So he didn't have that either.
And you know, the poverty and the hunger in Haiti is real.
Correct.
Real.
So yeah, Andy, the question about the players, yes, there are people who want the status quo. You know, the so-called oligarch, the people who run the business of the country, they want to have business to make money.
That's it.
I don't know whether the interests of the people are in the forefront of their mind, so to speak.
Yeah. And again, you have to look at the economic forces there.
Sure.
You know, the oligarchy, as you mentioned them, basically this is the group of people that that are the big importers of food, basic necessities, you know, rice, flour, meat.
Mm-hmm.
And when they put it out on the market and the people have to come and buy it, where's that money coming from? Where a country you have high, you know, rate of unemployment and a GDP that contracted, you know, that was already contracted and that contracted even 4%, you know, during the pandemic, that was ravaged by Hurricane Matthew. And let's not even mention the earthquake. So, you know, this money that the people are using is coming externally from the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that group, right. So if you're looking at just from economic, dispassionately, without any, you know, emotion, this works better in the short term for them, because that's you know, the more poverty, then the more money comes in, and they can make that. Now, on the other hand, you know, the powers like from CARICOM, you know, the Caribbean,
Organization.
American state, you know, the United States have it's really not in their interest to have a country with over 13 million starving people within their sphere.
Yeah.
So that's not going to help them. So they have a vested interest of helping Haiti stabilize.
Yeah.
Now the question is, and especially, for example, the Dominican Republic, because they are on that island with us.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes.
You know,
yes.
they
They've been agitating.
Yeah.
Well,
But then
and they have to think. Yeah, I don't know if they want to build a wall, but you know, they're stuck with this. So you know, it's gonna take. You know, I think these players realize that. The thing is, you know, who can take the lead now? Because Haiti would need a savvy politician. You know, because Jovenel was a businessman, I think, at heart.
Yes, he was.
I don't think he was a politician.
Correct.
And I think toward the end, he was in over his head for whatever reason.
Yes.
And
correct.
This is where you need someone that could come in as a savvy politician that understands the country and understands, you know, those different, you know, forces at play. And, you know, that's a face with a big question mark.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know who that is right now.
So, Marlene, you had a comment while Andy was talking.
Well, Andy, on that note, I think what Haiti needs in terms of leadership is a melting pot or you need the businessman, you need the politician, and you
Yes.
need the educator to really teach the people how to be citizen of Haiti.
Now,
Be-
suppose you were one of the candidates, Marlene. Okay. What kind of help do you want from the United States?
To be honest with you, I don't even need help from the United States, because don't get me started.
Okay, all right. All right.
I really think it's probably one of our demise.
Well, Haitians have to really sit down and figure this thing out.
Yeah, because
for
it's
themselves.
probably one of our demise, because you know people need to help you where you need the help. They can't come and dictate what you need. And I've seen it so many times during the earthquake.
Correct.
Lots of money, but
Don't know where the money goes.
well, but also I've had NGO telling me that they in Haiti with pots of money, but then nobody directing
Yeah.
where they want or can really communicate. This is where we need the help.
One thing you just said when you said everybody's quiet, everybody's waiting. The only thing I noticed, the noise in social media and the youth internationally. Haitian diaspora. Okay, there's an awareness that something is really need to change. I mean, the talk out there from, especially now, it's easy with with a phone and stuff like that. You can be on YouTube. There's a lot of conversations going on. That there's certain things that needs to happen, and people are anxious.
Yeah, but you see, here's the thing. I mean, diaspora spends a lot of money, but if that money is not put in one pot to make, that's the problem. I mean, you can't just be sending money to individuals.
No,
Don't ask. Okay, I'm an organization, so bona fide, registered in Haiti, registered in the state, 501c3. Well, guess what? You can't even get not one Haitian to give you $1. But so if you want to help individual, then it's going to continue. Hey, diaspora are going to have to get organized and put, even if we were putting 20% of what we give to individual in Haiti, you can do something.
Talking about diaspora, I don't want to forget what I was going to say, but talking about diaspora, there's a Congress going on that will be going on next week in Orlando to unify the diaspora, Haitian diaspora, outside of Haiti, anywhere. So I don't have the information as who's running it, but some members in this community are planning to go, and then
Yeah, I would like to.
Okay.
Because really, if we don't, right now, all of what we're helping Haiti, we're just putting our money in.
Well, here's a big question before we, because time is flying here. Should we have election?
Right.
In this quagmire that we find ourselves in Haiti, and the chaos and the lack of institutions, I think the Biden administration has insisted that there would be, the first word and second word is, let's get some election going.
Yeah, I know. That's not what they did.
Well,
Go ahead.
I will say this, is that the United States has an mode of operation. And yes, in order for the United States cannot get around not having elections, whether we like it or not, whether Haiti likes it or not.
Yeah.
It's not what Haiti wants. And even though we can say, well, that's how are we going to have election? Point of fact is, United States wants election. And think about that. Haiti even requested UN or American troops to help secure some areas, something which would be unthinkable 20 years ago, even, or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And the answer was that, they declined.
Yeah.
So as far as having elections, I guess really the ball is in, it's really going to depend on, those major players, to make it happen. Should they have elections? That's really something where, at this point, is that really, I don't. It's not going to matter one way or another. But I guess when they put whoever's new, the new government, the new leader takes place, they're going to have to at least have some pretend election so that the process can get started. Because there's a lot. If you don't have a government, then you can't govern and you cannot receive aid and assistance. Again, there needs to be a captain for the ship to go in one direction. So
can you have an interim government or group that has the responsibility to prepare for all this, and maybe instead of having elections, say in September, which is very soon, at least take power by the people or by the power to be, so they can organize a little bit some of the institutions that have been gone and replace people, put
Correct.
people, have
correct.
And then
I think what the players want is really some group to have a plan.
Okay.
Where they have some that they can get behind and say, okay, this looks legitimate enough. It seems like somebody put some thought through this. Okay, it doesn't have to happen tomorrow, but there needs to be a plan.
I definitely get that point. Except when you have a premature election, it's just like there goes the merry-go-round again. I mean,
Yes.
it's just
Yes.
that far. I think we don't listen, guys. Any last thoughts? So I'm gonna have to really close out. Our time is running out. Any last thought, Marlene, as far as what you wish for? What?
Well, it seems to me, again, people, Haitian outside of Haiti, are keeping Haiti on life support. So
Yeah.
it's about time we need to put our money where our mouth is. I mean, giving individual money, it might make you feel good, it might make you feel but really we need to be organized.
This is a point that's been going on for a long time, and I'm waiting to see what this Congress, this diaspora Congress will address. Any quick last thing, Andy?
Well, I think that at this time the country needs stability above everything. I mean, I know that we talk about democracy, but people have to understand that democracy does not work well for every situation. So I'm not saying that we should have another dictatorship, but there needs to be some level of stability. And one last thing about the diaspora. Yes, you're right, Marlene. I totally agree with her. Haiti's on last support, supported by the diaspora. And I will say extra that this is Haiti's last chance, not this particular time, but keep in mind that our generation, baby boomers and Gen Xers, we are the last generation in that diaspora that has direct ties with Haiti.
True.
So once we pass on the baton, like our children, my children have been to Haiti, but many of my friends, or most of them, their children know nothing about Haiti, not nothing, but they don't have direct ties, nor they know anybody in Haiti that they need to send any kind of money to. So this income source is going to die out.
Yeah.
It's going to dry up. So
On that,
Well, perfect situation, because a lot of us are aging now.
yeah.
And so
Yes.
our earning power has diminished.
correct.
So
Correct.
I'm not giving half of what I used to give.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, on that note, guys, let's all send our prayers and our thoughts, our positive thought toward Haiti, and we are with them in this difficult time. And Marlene and Andy, I really appreciate your help in coming here and discussing this. And I hope that I personally thank you very much, and I hope the community gets something out of this stuff. Thank you, guys.